This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Back here on Sid and Friends in the Morning, this is a special one. We have a couple of special ones every now and then, and starting, of course, with President Trump. But this guy happens to be best friends with President Trump, and a lot of people say that, but this guy really is. I text each other all the time, and he is the guy, if you want to be honest about this, over at Fox News, going back 10 years ago when President Trump started all this, he was the guy that you had to watch to really find out what was happening with President Trump. He is, in my opinion, the greatest cable news network guy in the history of the business. Fox News Primetime, my dear friend Sean Hannity. Sean, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Sid, my brother, how are you? It's been a long time. We've been friends forever. It's an honor to be on with you. Proud of you. Proud of your success. By the way, I am on 750 radio stations, but you don't have to mention that.
That's big.
But in all seriousness, it's great for us to connect. And we had connected many, many years ago. You were in Miami. I think I was in Atlanta at the time, and then I came up to New York, and we stayed in touch. And now look at you. Now you won't be talking to me in a year.
Things are going well for me. I'm not going to lie, Sean, but I'm not sure I won't be talking to you because you're still doing great.
I would be negligent if I didn't say that we both loved and missed Bernie. I mean, he was a star, and Imus and all those guys. I mean, they were a great crew. And, it's very hard to replace legends, and you've done a great job. I'm very proud of you and very happy for you.
Thank you, Sean. And he did. He loved you, Bernard. And, of course, after the whole Rutgers fiasco where we all went down in flames, I mean, Imus was able to rebound thanks to WABC and make a lot of money. But,
right.
For guys like me and Bernard, it was a very, very scary time. But, you were very loyal to him. You put him on your show on television many, many times. And he really did love you. And you did a beautiful piece when he passed, and we did our tribute show. So thank you for that.
It's amazing. All my career, I've had opportunities, to go along with cancel culture before we called it cancel culture or woke or, boycotts and all this stuff. And every single time, going back to, say, Bill Maher, politically incorrect, everybody, the people that stood up for him were conservatives like me, Rush, Levin. We're the people that stood up for him.
Yep.
And we said, no, don't cancel him. Joy Reid was about to get fired. I did a segment on Fox, and I'm like, no, how about you give her another chance, give people an opportunity to say they're sorry and show that they can be better and different. And everybody's so quick to just, silence voices, and I'm not that person. I want more speech, not less speech. I don't like that big tech got involved and the government suppressed the very real Hunter laptop story back in 2020. I think that has to stop. We can't have government agencies and departments putting cinder blocks on the scales of an election, and that's exactly what they did. And they pre-bunked that story back in March of 2020. The FBI had verified the authenticity of that laptop. And yet they were meeting weekly with big tech companies and warning them they may be victims of a Russian disinformation campaign. And lo and behold, they knew that story was coming out. They knew Bob Costello, who was then Rudy Giuliani's attorney. They knew he had a copy. They knew that laptop was going to leak, and it did leak. It leaked to the New York Post, and the story was true. And even though they knew it was true, when then Twitter, now X, and Facebook and Zuckerberg went to the FBI and said, is this story true or is this the disinformation you've been warning us about? They wouldn't tell them the truth. I'm sorry. That's a political contribution. That's corruption at a high level to me.
Oh, there's no question, and that's why Miranda Devine is one of my best friends, and in my opinion, a hero.
She's awesome. She's so great.
She did a terrific job with that story. I got to tell you, it's kind of like that now, Sean, with a story in the news today, the drones. I mean, what the hell is going on? I got Gordon Chang on the show. Now, look, I know he tends to get a little dramatic. I understand that. But he's telling me.
No, he's a smart guy. I put him on my shows all the time.
He's
really
a very smart guy. But with him, we're always going to die. That's the bottom line. So he's telling me, listen, Sid, this could be from Iran. This could be some nuclear emissions out there. There's radiation out there. I don't know. But until I get a real answer, anything is plausible, no?
Listen, here's what's so strange about this. The first sighting was November the 18th, okay? So now it's almost a full month, and to this day, we don't have any answers. Now, to me, the worst-case scenario is that they really don't know, like they say they don't know. That would be the worst-case scenario. So what they'd be saying then is that our military, the greatest military fighting force on the face of the earth, and our intelligence apparatchik, if you will, that they don't have the knowledge of where these drones are. Now, the drones are the size of a bus. They sound like Harley Davidsons. I've talked to people that have seen them. I've talked to elected officials that have seen them and the way they describe them, the way they maneuver in the sky. Governor Murphy, who's pretty much dumb as dirt, but, he's not wrong about this. They're very sophisticated, and that the lights go off once you get eyes on them. Well, that ought to scare the crap out of everybody, Sid, in my mind. Now, if they don't know, that is the scariest scenario for me. The more likely scenario is they know damn well what they are, and then they're lying to us, which, by the way, would be par for the course. These are the same people that lied about the Chinese spy balloon. These are the same people that lied about Joe's cognitive state. These are the same people that lied and said inflation is transitory. These are the same people that said the border's secure. These are the same idiots that said, well, if you get the vaccine, then you're not going to get COVID, and you're not going to infect other people. Well, that turned out to be a lie too. So my guess is this is standard operating Biden-Harris administration lying, which is a better case scenario than them not knowing. But, I don't know. I just don't – there's something in my DNA, having grown up New York, Long Island. I got in a lot more trouble when I lied to my parents, and whatever it was that I was doing that was pretty stupid.
That's true, and me too. And I continued to lie anyway because I was scared of what may happen. But
I know it's like a double-edged sword. If I lie and get away with it, I don't get the crap beat out of me.
Right.
I mean, I grew up in an old-school family.
This is the great Sean Hannity. It's interesting. I want to get to Trump and Hegseth, but you just said how you grew up. You're a Long Island boy. You moved to Florida a couple of years ago. So I'll tell you, Sean, I'm the only idiot that dating back to 2016, 9 years ago, when people started running out of New York like it was on fire, you had thousands of people on I-95 South. I was the one guy on I-95 North because I had a great job waiting for me in New York. But you decided to make the move, and I know what you're going to say. I know it. I love New York, but it's the best decision I ever made, right?
Best decision I ever made. I don't love what New York's become.
Right.
That's the honest truth. Did I love New York? Would I rather be in, our friend Curtis Lee would always say, New York born, New York bred, and when I die, I'm going to be New York dead. And by the way, for Curtis, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
Him and Mark Simone, I've never been to an event in New York where they're not there, ever. And I don't go to many events in New York.
That's true.
And, but they, they're both like you. They're great guys, and I love them to death. But, I had to make a choice here. We had two governors in a row. We had, I don't know if you remember Governor Cuomo saying, if you're one of those extreme conservatives, that's pro-life and pro-Second Amendment and I'm not anti-anything. Yeah. I'm pro-freedom. He goes, you're not a New Yorker, and there's no place in New York. Remember he said that?
I do, sure.
And then you got this genius, Madam Commuter Tax and Sanctuary City, your governor now, that is saying to Lee Zeldin and those Trump conservatives, get on a bus, go down to Florida where you belong. I'm like, so I got on a bus. I went down to Florida
Yeah,
where I got on a plane. But
you listened, and it worked out well. Thank you, Governor Hochul, from Sean Hannity, because he's got a much better life now, dummy.
And by the way, I'm not going back. I visited like twice this year because they just chase people that leave New York. They still want your money, but they chase you. So I've hired an army of attorneys and accountants and had a list of 70 things I had to do to make sure that my residency is in Florida, because it's unbelievable. And by the way, that 181-day thing is baloney.
Yeah.
I live in Florida. I am a full-time Florida resident.
Bottom line, that's it. Sean's a Florida guy. So you got to do me a favor. So yesterday in the New York Times, they run a story.
Why do you read the New York Times? That's a mystery to me.
No, I don't read it. To me, Dr. Seuss is more accurate than the New York Times. But it comes to me. You know how it goes, Sean. So
it comes to me.
Right.
Read the New York Post and you're done. And the Wall Street Journal,
That's
you're
true.
finished. All your prep for the day is done. And then
100%. The only reason why this Times article came to me was because the first 4 paragraphs were about me. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm upset with President Trump with this whole Eric Adams nonsense. I get the kindred spirit, DOJ. They've targeted me. They've targeted you. I get it. But President Trump loves this city. There's no way he can come to his place 4 blocks away on Trump Tower and not see filth and dirt and public drug using and illegals and criminals. Guess what? The mayor, Eric Adams, he didn't fix what Bill de Blasio did. In fact, in certain cases, he made it worse. So what I'm saying is, Sean, you talk to President Trump every day. He likes me. Say, look, I just spoke to Sid. Calm down with the Eric Adams love. Yes, maybe the DOJ targeted him, but he hasn't done a great job fixing Trump's favorite city.
Well, why don't you tell him? You have access to him.
Oh, I can't get to him now. Unless your name is Elon Musk, it's impossible.
I'm sure he would take your call. I'm sure he's very aware of it. Do I think that part of the change of heart of the mayor is in part the corruption, arrests, and scandals, and so on and so forth? Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yes.
Does it really matter to me? It really doesn't. But the bottom line, he has hurt the city. And the bottom line is everybody in the city's paid a price. One of the reasons so many more people in New York City registered, 9-1 Democrat, voted for Trump, is because they have failed in their mission to protect the people of New York. It's costing them not millions but billions of dollars, and it's got to stop. And it's not as safe as it used to be. Why are we giving out 3-4-star hotel rooms to illegal immigrants? And yet we have on the streets of New York City on any given day, you have homeless vets.
Yeah.
Tell me how that makes any sense
It
at
doesn't.
all.
It doesn't.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
So this goes back to when Rudy took over, quality of life issues. This goes back to, remember they had the squeegee men and all the homeless people and all this crap. Yeah. I mean, that stuff that all got cleaned up. I don't know if you remember the old Times Square.
I do.
Where, it was all drug dealers. It was all sex. It was all, and then they Disney-fied it. And you know what? It became a better place. And that's what New York can become again if you get the right mayor. And it probably would take a Republican with a lot of courage to do it. But I don't know. Things have swung so hardcore left in New York. Look, you know what really was the tipping point for me? And I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't feel safe if I took my kids or family out to certain places in New York City.
Sure.
I would go to only restaurants that knew me. I would sit in a corner somewhere, and I didn't feel like, we're passing a restaurant. Let me just walk in. Because there's so many psycho, woke, aggressive people.
Yep.
And I'm a mixed martial artist, and all the years I was in New York, I had a license to carry. I surrendered that when I left New York. I'm now a full year. I've had a full year in Florida. Can you believe it?
A full year.
And
jeez, went fast.
It's sad. Yeah. But I'm one of these people that if I was on camera and somebody tried to come after me, I'd try to run if I could. And even though I'd look like a coward on video, because I know what I'm capable of doing.
Right.
I mean, that's how.
But by the way, you do that even now, even after Danny Penny got acquitted?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, Daniel Penny got acquitted, but on the manslaughter charge, it was a hung jury.
Yeah.
So it
Yep.
wasn't a clean acquittal. Now, of course, Alvin Bragg, doing what he does best, which is corrupting the law, then tried to go in, drop the manslaughter charge in the hopes that they'd consider the lesser charge. The law does not allow for that. At that point, it's you're basically telling the jury, "Oh, vote for the lesser charge."
Right. Oh, that's
And
what they were hoping for.
I think Jonathan Turley nailed it when he said
Yeah.
he was probably the most surprised person in New York.
Well, he was the second most to Tom Caniff, who's become a very close friend of mine, who was like, "What, are you
Right.
kidding me?" But they got the acquittal on that Monday, which was amazing. On the way out, I got to tell you, Sean, that I love when you interview the president because you guys have a legitimate friendship. I don't know how it started, when it started, but since he's running for...
I don't ever talk about it. I have a professional relationship with him, but I've been friends with him for over 30 years. When
There
I
you go.
first went to New York, I'm now in my 29th year at Fox, and on your radio station, I started for a year from 11 at night till 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And by the next year, 1997 or 8, whatever, 1998, I was doing afternoon drive. And I was there for a long time. We syndicated the show. And look, I'll be honest. If I had to describe my life, Sid, it's an undeserved life. And I definitely work really hard. I try to outwork everybody else. I try to give news information and truth that other people don't give. And I think that those of us that are going to remain successful in a new media age, which is where we're living, are going to have to be people that, go hard in the paint to get it right. And, I have a pretty good track record. I mean, we got Russia collusion right. We got the impeachments right. We knew that Donald Trump could win this election. We vetted Kamala Harris. Back in the day, I vetted Obama. I was right about Richard Jewell back in the day in Atlanta. I was right about Freddie Gray in Baltimore, UVA, the Duke lacrosse kids. I was right about Ferguson, Missouri, because I actually take time and work sources like anybody in the press should do. And I get to the truth, and I don't jump the gun, and I don't, all these people, rush to judgment, and we don't do that. And that's why I think the legacy media died this past election. You have every major broadcast channel, 2 cable channels, every late-night comedy show. You have every major newspaper, including the New York Slimes that you mentioned and the Washington Compost and all these papers. They were all against Trump for 9 years from the minute he came down the escalator. And the American people heard it all, and they rejected it all, overwhelming. And he won by a landslide mandate. And I really believe that this next 4 years is going to be transformational, and I have a lot of hope for it. I love our country. I love my friends in New York, and I keep telling them all, move down here.
Yeah, believe me, I'll be back at some point. I'll be down next week, actually, for vacation. But I kept...
Yeah, see, where do you go on vacation?
Well,
Where you should be on a permanent vacation, but still working and loving your job and, working. And listen, I used to say New York's the greatest city in the world. I don't believe that anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people
I don't believe it.
A lot of people don't. I mean, I don't know anybody. I'm going to be in Aventura, but I don't know anybody who moved to Florida that says they miss New York. I really don't. They all say this. In fact, they go the complete opposite. They go, "Oh my God, the subways, the dirt, the filth. How did I ever live there in the first place?" So you're not alone. Final 3 minutes. You've been right about all these things. That's true. And you left out your magnificent coverage of 9/11. But I want to get to one more piece with you because all these great interviews you do, I thought one of the best you did was last week with Pete Hegseth. And for some reason, of all these picks for President Trump, he's the one that I really want to see go through as the Secretary of Defense. So let's see if you're right again, Sean Hannity. Will Pete Hegseth get through the Senate?
I think so. I mean, he seems to have weathered the predictable storm. I mean, this is what Democrats do. They smear, slander, besmirch, character assassination. Has Pete been perfect in his life? Nobody's the first person to tell you. Is he a different person? I can tell you from my own experience that he is. And anyway, so I have every confidence he'll get there. I know he's been working it really hard. I know the president's been working it really hard. I've never met, anybody besides, say, him and Ali North are the 2 people that I know that I've met in my life that they live, eat, breathe, sleep our military. And he understands that he's inheriting what Reagan called a gap of vulnerability when he became president after Carter. And at that point, we had ships that couldn't go out to sea. We had planes that couldn't fly. Now we have our top geopolitical foes like China and Russia, and they don't have the ability. They have abilities we don't have, like hypersonic missile technology. So we've got to catch up. We've got to prepare for a new era. Future wars are not going to be fought on battlefields. They're going to be fought in air-conditioned offices where people are pushing buttons. So we've got to get rid of DEI and wokeness in our military. We've got to up our recruitment in the military. We've got to get more, technologically advanced people there, people that really fully understand and comprehend AI and integrate that into our development of our systems. We've got a lot of work to do there, and I know Pete's up to the challenge. There are other good people that I know that are going to be going in around him that will be very helpful. So, yeah, I'm hopeful that all the picks get through. I mean, they're going to want to go after him. They'll want to go after RFK. They obviously want to go after Tulsi. They're going to want to go after Kash Patel, but I think they all get through.
So do I. Hey, listen, you're just a treasure, man. You're a great guy. I've known you for a long time. You are.
I feel the same way.
No, thank
all
you.
the best.
By
the way, did you and Levin make up? What did you do? Did you attack Levin? Were you out of your mind?
Oh, I attacked him. You know what I did? This is so bad, Sean. First, he attacked me. He called me a weasel. And, all right, that's fine. You know what I do? This is terrible. The next day, I go, let me tell you something about this great one.
Oh, no. Don't repeat it.
No, you get I have to. Sean, I got it. He asked me. I said he's the average one. He's not the great one. Oh, my God. So then him and I had this long conversation on a Sunday morning, literally the day after 9/11, October 7th. It was October 8th, 2023.
Oh, wow. What a sad day, by the way.
Yes, and him and I now, you couldn't be closer. We just text each other, I love you, emojis, all that stuff. He's on my show all the time. So it took October 7th to bring us back together, but we're closer than ever.
I've been friends with BB. That's good news, by the way.
Yep.
That's not a guy you want to pick a fight with. I'm just telling you. Like I do mixed martial arts. There's certain guys I know I'm not picking a fight with that guy.
Right.
And Mark Levin he's unrelenting. Let me tell you about this Sid Rosenberg. I'll tell you the truth. There, I told you.
That's very good. No, he is.
Not
but
bad, right?
But it's great. But he's also, like you, he's got a big heart. So, we buried it quickly. And
he's got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear you guys made up. I'd heard about it. I'm like, oh, no, what's Sid doing? I need to call Sid.
It was all over Cuomo, but it's long over. Listen, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
You too, my friend. God
Thank
bless you. God bless your family and continued success. And to everybody out there, let me tell you, if you voted for Trump, your job's not done. If you voted for Trump and you want him to have the cabinet that will be transformational, he's definitely going to need your help. That means people are going to have to call their senators and put pressure on them there's no point calling Chuck Schumer. He's useless. Does he ever come on your show? No.
No, I hate his guts.
Does Gillibrand ever come on? No.
Hate her guts.
Hochul ever come on? No.
They're not invited.
No, you should invite them and ask them why why is Hochul not fracking in New York and saving New York financially? How stupid is that?
Well, I think it's like Biden. If something works, they go against it. There's no other explanation as to why you wouldn't want energy, money, all that coming from your own neighborhoods.
Why is she chasing people like me away? Because they're a sanctuary state. Now they want a commuter tax. They're talking about reparations taxes. They're talking about a wealth tax. They're talking about, you pay, if you die in New York, you're going to pay 13% of all the money you pay taxes on just to New York on top of the 40% of state tax nationally. How insane is that? At what point do they say enough is enough? They could lower taxes in New York. They can balance their budget. They can fund the crappy schools that are all over New York City. They could give parents a check and institutionalize school choice. They'd be able to afford all of it if they'd be smart like their neighbor in, just a little bit to the west of them called the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And all this free money is sitting right in the ground in upstate New York,
That's
and they're
right.
too dumb to touch it.
That's right. Well, listen, Lee Zeldin came very close, as you know, Sean. So some of the names that are out there right now, Mike Lawler, congressman out of Rockland County, a Democrat.
Oh, great, but let me tell you something. They're not going to win. This is the problem. Too many people like me left.
Yeah.
And you know what? Look at all of Wall Street and look at all these private equity firms. You know where they are? They're in Palm Beach. They're in Boca. They're in Delray Beach, Florida. They're in Miami. Look at what's happening. Wall Street, the investment community, they are moving out of New York in droves. Cuomo famously said, and I play it a lot, tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. And we did. And God forbid the rich leave. And guess what? The rich leave. The rich left. They're leaving. And now they're at a point where the baby boomers are now coming of age to retire. Are they going to stay in New York or are they going to leave? As soon as people can now start selling their house at a lower, once the interest rates come down, you're going to see more of a mass exodus. Last year alone, you lost a full 1% of the population in New York.
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I know.
And it's sad. I go up and I'm like, I look, I've been up, I went up for my sister's birthday and I went up for the Patriot Awards, but otherwise I stay out of there.
Oh, you were great at the Patriot Awards. I love the whole thing. You wore the garbage vest. That was fantastic. You wore the McDonald's apron. You were great. Now, listen, just so you know, you've convinced me. Today's my last day, John. I'm moving back to Boca.
You're on vacation? You going to Boca?
I'm going to Aventura, but I lived in Boca for 16 years.
Love it there. It's awesome.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I live pretty close by.
No Knicks in Florida, just so you know, Sean.
I'll take you to the Boca Beach Club.
I was a member.
By the way, you don't need to carry your gun.
That's true. You're right. I was a member there forever. I spent $150,000 a year to go to the beach. Explain that one to me. Anyway.
Because you're smart.
Listen, this was great. Now, promise me in 2025, Sean, you'll keep coming back. Okay, pal?
Whatever you want. I'm always here. We've been friends for too many decades. God bless you. To your wonderful audience, God bless everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Have a great holiday. Enjoy your time and come back. Roll up your sleeves. Trump is going to need your help. We need to be there.
You got it. I'll be there for him, and as you've been for so many years. I love you, Sean Hannity. This was incredible. Thank you. All right, pal. Take care. There he is, the great Sean. What a great conversation. What a great guy. This is why he's the best. Sean Hannity here on Sid and Friends in the Morning. Taking a quick break, and I'll be back right after these short messages.